Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Michael's Record Collection. I'm very excited to have with me today from the band Moon Safari. I have Petter Sandstrom. Petter, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome. Looking forward to this.
So, you guys have a new album coming out. Himlabacken Volume 2 comes out December 8th on Blumjude Records, December 6th in Japan on Marquee, but everywhere else in the world gets it December 8th. Your fifth studio album, your your first studio album in 10 years. Where have you guys been?
Yeah, we've been blaming on the kids and the pandemic. No, but it took us a long time, too long of a time. But uh, kids are partly to blame, and we everyone in the band is working,
Mm-hmm.
So I think we recorded the drums 2019. So the drums and the bass, the foundation, they were there 2019, but then the pandemic hit. So I couldn't travel to Skellefteå where the other guys live, and so it was a lot of back and forth, messenger on Facebook, and trying to sort out this post production hell we were we were in. The post production on this album took a long time, and that's usually the part of recording an album that I most enjoy.
Okay.
The decoration of the Christmas tree, decorating the Christmas tree.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah.
Um, I've been enjoying this. I've been listening to it the last few days, and just can't wait to get into the conversation about it with you. But I want to start out by asking you what I normally ask my guests, which is, what was your first favorite record? The first record that really stuck out to you in your memory when you were a kid?
Uh, you, you know, so this I think I'm 4 years old or something like that, and my dad is cleaning the house, he's vacuuming, and so he says, "Son, choose a record from their collection. Choose one or two, and sit in this chair with headphones on while I clean the house." And the albums I chose were Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run,
Oh,
and Beatles, Help.
okay.
Both whitish albums. I don't know, but so I must have chosen, visually, because I had no idea. Born to Run looks cool as hell,
Yeah,
with the boss hanging on Clarence,
that's right.
and yeah, I something striking about the Beatles' Help cover art as well. And I remember, listening. So I sat there and yelling to my father, "Turn the disc, turn the sides."
Yeah.
And still to this day, I'm a huge Bruce Springsteen fan, and always been a Beatle maniac all my life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Those are very iconic covers, so it's easy to see why you chose them. And I'm glad you chose wisely. Who knows where your life would have gone if you'd have chosen something terrible.
Yeah, but they didn't have a lot of albums. I think maybe 100, something like that. But almost all of them are great. Those Supertramp records, 10cc records, and so it was a good upbringing.
Now, when did you become a musician? When did you start to take lessons or get interested in learning how to perform?
I so a guitar always was always in the house, but none of my nor my mother or my father play the guitar, or my sister, but it was always there, and I you know strummed on it occasionally. But I think I picked it up when I was 16. uh yeah, must have been 16, and I thought myself, it's I'm not very good, but it's a great tool to write songs on.
Yeah. So you wanted to make your own music, and you figured it out on your own, and you figured out enough to where you could come up with melodies and that kind of thing. That's great. So,
Yeah, but so I got another memory because we had a VHS a tape of a, I think it was a Dire Straits concert,
mm,
and at the end they're doing a theme from Local Hero, and Mark Knopfler and Hank Marvin has a guitar duet,
hmm
and both playing Fenders, and Mark Knopfler with the iconic red Fender. So it's like I've always wanted to have a Fender guitar. That was so when I bought one, I don't know, 12 years ago or something. That was a big moment for me.
yeah, you checked off a bucket list item for you. That's
Yes,
great.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent. So tell me about the formation of Moon Safari. How did this group of musicians? I know you've had a couple of lineup changes over the years. How did the initial group that became Moon Safari get together? How did that start?
Well, I think it was Johan's vision first. Let's start a band. I've heard you strum on a couple of ideas, so let's do something. And we were building a studio in Skellefteå, and as a thanks for helping to build that studio, there's like you get a couple of hours or days in the studio to do a recording, a demo or something like that. But
Mm.
we were like, let's go for it. So I think we recorded the first demo was 4 tracks or something, about 30 minutes of music or something like that, 25. And the guy who allowed us the studio time was like, I said a couple of days, maybe 2 days. It was like, but there's no one here. Can't we use it? So it was me and Johan's vision recruited me. We were pals. We played hockey together, and we've known each other forever. And but we needed a guitar player, a drummer, and a keyboard player. So and we knew Simon from he's from the same village as me and Johan. A couple of years younger, but we played cowboys and Indians and stuff like that when we were kids, and so we knew he was a great singer. We've been hooked up on parties, and we talked a lot about the Beatles and stuff like that. And he's always trying to recruit people for doing some impromptu harmonizing and stuff like that. And
mm-hmm.
and I guess after meeting him in a couple of parties, it's like, okay, you're hired. He's like, what? Yes, you're it. You're in the band now. It's like, okay. And Tobias and Anton, a drummer and guitar player, they played in a Karma Cosmic, a progressive metal band,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
where Michael, who is our new drummer, he played keyboards in that band. And they were kind of like a dream theater.
Yeah.
They were a really tight band, and had some good songs. But we have snatched the members and like, okay, this is the new band,
Mm-hmm.
Moon Safari. And I think our first rehearsal was 15 minutes, and we rehearsed the theme from Doorway, I think, for 15 minutes. Then Anton and Tobias was like, okay, we're grabbing a movie now. It's been booked forever. And so me, Johan, and Simon's like, okay, that went quite well. We should do this again.
All right. So I know that you had help early on in your career as a band from Thomas Bodin. Is that how Thomas Bodin became aware of you through Tobias and that connection?
Um, so I think I was the huge Flower King guy in the band. You liked everybody liked the Flower Kings in the band, but and we always thought they had really nice production, and but we didn't dare to ask it all in there. So it was like, I mean, we always loved uh, Thomas landscapes, and and so it's like we need a guy, to help us if we're gonna make an album. And so I say I can write him an email. I'll send him a track from our first demo, and I think the song we sent a couple of, I think we sent 2 tracks or something like that. And one was a song called "Love the Rain." We have never really released that song, but it's kind of a Jellyfish poppy song.
Okay.
Me and Simon wrote. Must have been 2002, 2003, or something like that. 2003. And it has a bit of it's raining again feel. It had saxophone solo, and I guess Thomas thought it was catchy, and I bet you can hear some nice melodies, and of course Simon's harmonies.
Yeah.
When you hear them, it's like, okay, this is next level. So, and he replied, and it's like, sure, I can come up to Skellefteå, book me a flight, and get me a place to stay, and I'll help you guys. And so we, it was up for a week or something like that, and he helped us. We had, I think, the first demo for "We Spin the World" from our first album was like 18 minutes or something like that. And he said, like, yeah, it's all your ideas. They're like a wet towel. You just need to squeeze them out because there's such great ideas. And he was really, yeah, he's been a mentor for the first album, and we talk with him even, every now and then. But it was like, so we're releasing an album on our own, and we have all these contacts, distributors, and stuff like that. And it's like, so what do we charge? And he's like, this is the price you set, and nothing under that. And I think he had released his "I Am" solo album.
Yeah. Great album.
Around the same time. Yeah, really good. It's like whenever I hear that theme in the beginning of that song, it's like takes me back, to all the recording of the first album. And
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because those are all 3 long songs on that album.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
So
great record.
Thomas helps you get going, and of course, you mentioned Simon and the harmonies. There are very few bands doing 5-part harmonies in really any rock genre, let alone the progressive rock genre. How did that start, and how did you guys buy into that idea so quickly?
We just, we always, me and you we were music junkies, so we always loved the harmonies of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, that stuff, and the Beatles harmonies. It just elevates the tracks, and so it was, and Simon, he throws in a couple of jazzy things here and there, but he's no stranger to it. It's like, no, doesn't work. It's a 3-part harmony here, or just 2-part sometimes. So he's, I mean, self produces himself, or what do you say? But it's just, but it was not. We always thought, it added another dimension to the music, and something, as you said, you don't hear it that often. 5-part harmonies in progressive rock. I think I don't know any other band except
No, I mean, some bands will do some 3-part harmonies here and there and choruses and things like that, but I mean, you guys have made that such a staple part of your sound. Now, did Simon have like a music theory background at all, or did he just learn that on his own?
His father is a choir conductor, so
Ah,
so he's been singing vocal harmonies since, I guess, he was born.
mm-hmm.
And his brothers were singing as well. His mom and dad they had a vocal group, and there's a lovely video of them singing harmonies when Simon and Pontus are just little kids, and Sebastian's like, I don't know this song, I don't want to sing it.
Yeah. Now look at him.
Yeah,
Yeah. So this is great. You guys have you're coming out with your fifth studio album, the first since Himlabacken Volume One. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know Swedish very well. Himlabacken means heaven hill.
yeah,
Okay, which ties right into the first track on this, and it's so let's set the stage. These are the people on the album. Yourself, Petter Sandstrom, lead and backing vocals, acoustic guitar. Simon Akesson, lead and backing vocals, piano, organ, and moog. Pontus Akesson, lead and backing vocals, electric and acoustic guitar. I know there's a lot of lead vocalists, but that's what this band is, folks.
yeah.
Sebastian Akesson, backing vocals, assorted keys and percussion. Michael Israelsson, backing vocals, drums, percussion, keyboards, and piano. And Ewan Westerland, lead and backing vocals and bass guitar. He also had a special guest performance by Jameson Smeltz on saxophone on the song Forever for You.
Yeah,
And you guys arranged, wrote and arranged the songs and produced the album yourselves. And it was recorded in, I'm sorry, the pronunciation for this town, Skellefteå, Sweden?
yeah, it's Skellefteå.
Skellefteå.
It's like she left you almost.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's a good way to
yeah,
remember it. All right. And this thing was mixed and mastered by Rich Mauser in LA, and that guy does phenomenal work. And I imagine, having heard these tracks, you guys have to be just over the moon with what he's done with these songs.
yeah. It's a great sounding. It's a great mix and a master by Rich. So we sent out a couple of a test song to a couple of names, and Rich was the best by far. And yeah, he's been great, and I think he's had a lot of patience with us because we're so picky. It's like he sent us a mix, and we're like, okay, but can you just bit more harmonies, and
Hmm.
maybe add a bit more reverb on the harmonies, and so like 133 up with the guitar, down with, so yeah, he did a great job. Yeah,
So that's something I was curious about, is when you're recording these songs, am I hearing each of you in these 5-part harmonies one time, or are there multiple layers of your voices?
there's overdubs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we normally we overdub every harmony 2 times, but sometimes we wanted more lush, and we can sing a bit softer, and then we add like three, can add 2 hour overdubs. So it's I don't know, the most tracks we ever did. I think that's on might be on Cross the Rubicon. It's a lot of overdubs and a lot of harmonies in that one. Might have been 40 tracks or something like that.
Wow, that's a lot of vocal tracks.
Yeah.
A lot. Um, yeah. So this album starts with 1980X Heaven Hill, and so right here in this first song, the song is the lyrics are "Welcome back to Heaven Hill, same old sound, same old thrill." Is this you basically announcing to your fans, "We're back. We're the same Moon Safari that you've always known and loved"?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Uh, and if you play Himlabacken Volume 1, Sugar Band ends with what do you say, a false cadence or something like that. So if you play Volume 1 and then Volume 2 right after, they sing into each other in the right key. So that was always the part. the plan. And yeah, we wanted, kind of a rocking opener, like a magical mystery tour kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, I can see it, but that it's definitely the appropriate opening track. And tell me when these songs were written, because you said you got the drums uh laid down in 2019. How long ago were the songs actually written by you guys?
So I think Teen Angel Meets the Apocalypse. We wrote that song in 2014, I think. We wrote that song over a weekend. 2014 or 15. 15 might be the case, but wrote over a weekend, and basically had the basic structure for the song. Not that far from the finished thing you hear on the album.
Mm-hmm.
But I rewrote the lyrics a couple of times. It's just I was being political at first, but I was no way I could keep up with shenanigans in the today's political climate. So I changed direction. It's still a little bit political. It's the end of the world, but it's like, would you recommend your daughter to,
Mm.
yeah, go for a career in the music industry? And
Yeah,
it's an ode to the rock and roll history. There's a lot
yeah,
of Easter eggs in the track.
yeah. Very interesting song. I'm gonna dive into that with you, but a little more in a bit. But how do you guys start writing a song? I know you guys have multiple writers in the band. How does a Moon Safari song start? Is it with someone sending a I don't know, like 2 or 3 minute clip of something that they've recorded, or do you work on things as a group? How does it work?
It could be that. Everybody has their home recording studio, and it can be that we just, so does anyone have any idea, and we see what's on the computer and stuff like that, and then we go from there, or we just sit down with guitars and a piano, and it's like, so does anyone have any ideas? And it's like, oh, always we got it stacked, so
It's
we
good.
know now there's a queue, for the next album. It's like, okay, I got a couple of ones, and
Yeah. Well, that's good. That way we won't have to wait another 10 years for the next one, hopefully.
hopefully not. Hopefully not.
So if a song gets to be 21 minutes, like Teen Angel Meets the Apocalypse, does it grow to that from a bunch of like 3 to 5 minute clips, or does somebody sit down and write 18 or 20 minutes worth of music?
For Teen Angel, I had the main theme you hear, the intro theme, and like the first couple of minutes. I had them pretty sorted, but Simon added a couple of things, like the Bach part and some chord stuff, and the verses. It was always my plan to have me singing first, then Simon, and then Pontus. And then the bridge, I think we wrote the chorus together. So the first day when we wrote that song, I think we had up until after the second chorus. And it's like Simon had to go home and say nighty night to the kids and cook dinner, and then we're like, okay, so where do we go from here? And then we checked, Simon has a couple of files on the computers. Might be a file just called fire. So we just check out what that fire part is. It's like, okay, this sounds cool. It's same key, and this time we just added on part, and then I think we knew where we were going with an instrumental part, and then next day Simon just sat there and it's like, what about an Emerson part? And it's like, yes, we go from there, and now we need vocals back, and yeah,
Okay.
it was
So
yeah,
it
we
sort of
worked on like that.
grows
Yeah,
organically
it
from there.
grows. I
It's
mean, other half of the sky. That track I knew was going to be 30 minutes, and Simon helped me bridge a lot of those uh, a lot of parts in that song. But I basically wrote all of that song on the on an acoustic guitar, and so I kind of knew that one. I sat like, okay, we're up at 25 minutes now.
yeah, that song is it's very special. It's the fastest half hour you can spend doing anything.
Oh, thank you.
It seems to fly by so quickly. It doesn't feel like you're there for a half an hour when you're listening to it. So
No.
that's the sign of a good epic is that you might think, oh, what is that song about 8 minutes long? No, it's 30.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it's we never set boundaries for it. A song has to be 3 or 4 or 8 or you kind of know. It's like, okay, this is probably going to be a bigger one,
Mm.
especially if it's like the vocals kicks in at around 4 minutes. Then it's like, okay, this won't be 6 minutes, I'm sure.
Yeah. 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 Otherwise, it's a really, really short vocal. Um,
Yeah.
it's always amazes me bands that routinely put out 20 or 30-minute songs. How do you know when you're done? How do you know when you stop adding things?
Yeah, it's so that's the thing with Teen Angel particularly is like we wrote it 14 or 15 uh and we've been listening to it ever since, and to keep things fresh, there was I had some arguments with a couple of the guys. I'm going to try this or cut this part out, and I'm like, no, like it's because we have listened to it for 8 years. Our fans have not, so it's like, but we compromised with a couple of things. But so should we change the groove on this part? And I'm like, no, it stays.
Yeah, always the thing when you work on something and you work on something and you get sick of something, but other people haven't
Yeah,
heard it yet. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's like, yeah, you I think making you just have to let it go at some point,
Hmm.
because you could still polishing, the until until there's nothing left. But I mean,
Yeah.
a record it's never finished. I mean, I would love to go back and do all my lead vocals on the first couple of albums and remix them or change a couple of things or production wise or stuff like that. But it's just let them go and they'll have their own little life.
Yeah.
But
That's true. Like any art, it's never really done. You just have to get
yeah,
to a
and
point where you're willing to let it go.
they get a second life anyway when you play them live.
Hmm.
And then I mean, then you can try a couple of things. It's like I always wanted to do this on that part or something like that. We never did it in the studio. Should we? And I think there's time for that in doing it live.
Hmm. Yeah. You can take some liberties with it and
Yeah,
just try stretch it out in new ways. So
yeah.
when you guys are recording, do you all take turns singing lead and then determine what's the best, or do you know going in who's going to sing lead on what parts based on just knowing how your voices work, or is it based on who wrote the part?
Uh, I think it's like who wrote the part, who wrote the song. It's like
Hmm.
it's a no-brainer if Johan has a song that he should sing the lead, and Pontus and me and Simon, we often spice things up and we do the back and forth thing, or and it's like, okay, I sing the verses and the bridge, you can take the chorus, or I can take the break in Simon's song or something like that. So it's
Hmm. Yeah, I always like
so
when
me and
people
him,
do
we
that.
just yeah we just throw some bones at each other. You know?
I don't know if everybody likes it, but I love when bands that have multiple singers take turns and trade lines. I think that's great. I always have enjoyed that, no matter what band it is. When you have
Yeah,
multiple people that can sing, why not use everybody?
yeah.
Yeah, that's
And I mean, yes, this is like the Beatles thing, you know, when it's like Lennon joins the McCartney break or something like that, or
mhm.
vice versa. It's yeah,
Yeah,
it adds
outstanding stuff.
yeah, it adds to something special to the song.
Yeah, and not every band can do that. Some bands just have the one singer, so might as well take advantage of the thing that sets you apart a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the
Uh,
Eagles and Crosby, Stills, Nash, and just
yeah. So you track two, Between the Devil and Me, is your first epic on the album, over 10 minutes long. It was the first single, nice 10-minute single for you. There's
yeah,
a lyric video for it that you guys have put out already, so people can go check that out. And I feel like this is one of Moon Safari's heaviest songs, if that makes sense. I mean, does Michael have a heavier foot or use more double kick drum than Tobias did?
he's a hard hitter. He really is, and I think he's Michael's a great producer, writer, and drummer and keyboard player, and he has a thing for the low end, I think, and this time it was a really detail. He has a detail for the Ewan and Michael. They were really interlocked in
Mm,
the recording with like the bass and the kick drum and how they should play together to be really tight, and it was rehearsed really well. Normally we just wing it in the studio, and
mhm.
we add the bass later, but uh, and we knew that we were probably that this album was probably going to be a bit heavier. We knew the material, and I mean, I don't think it's metal, but it's more hard rock, I think.
Yeah,
But
it's a little
yeah,
crunchier, little more
yeah, it's a bit
crunch to it.
cruncher. Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah,
is. But yeah,
but it still contains those beautiful harmonies, and it there's plenty of space for that. There's plenty of space for those soaring harmonies and the melodies to come through. But there's just those moments of you're just getting into it maybe a little bit more aggressively than maybe on past records that I think is
yeah.
really appealing.
I
Uh,
mean, it's like Images and Words by Dream Theater. I consider Dream Theater to be a progressive metal band, but
mhm.
that record is I think it's almost progressive rock at times. It's the guitars are heavy, but it's a kind of a bright sounding and yeah, crossover, I say.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's an apt description.
Yeah.
Then you have to get that little short palate cleanser with Emma Come On, which is a great title. Tell me a little bit about that little song.
Yeah, and we've been playing that one since for a long time. Yeah, it's Simon's song. He had I don't know what the title was for his. It was 9/8 or something like that, and he wanted to do like a groove in 9/8 to feel as 4/4 as possible. That was kind of an exercise, I think, and he had like the theme, written the theme, the two part, the keyboard and the guitar part, and we all loved it when we heard it, and we started singing. It's like normally how we do is like, oh, we need vocals here, but I think Simon's Simon's version, version was the the chorus for that song was the verses,
Mm.
and he had 3-part harmonies or something like that. It was like me and you when we started like singing something Fish would do on Incommunicado, stuff like that, and
Yeah.
we always like, whoa, we started maybe we should do that with brass, and yeah, it was like we felt it was kind of an 80s, like Genesis during Visible Touch, if they were still keeping the one foot in the progressive rock genre.
Okay. Yeah. I
Something
can't
like
wait to
that.
go. I can't wait to go back and listen to it now and count it because I didn't notice that the time signature.
Yeah, I think the whole song is 9/8.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's progressive rock, man.
Yeah.
So we go into track 4, which might be my favorite on the record, "A Lifetime to Learn How to Love." It's 8.5 minutes, but this thing sounds big. It sounds full. I love the big epic finish to this song, the way that it just builds up. And I don't know what the genesis of this song was, but I can tell you, whatever you're going for, it works for me.
Yeah, it's Pontus' song. Pontus wrote this track, and I helped him. I wrote the lyrics, and I helped him a bit with the vocal melodies, because normally when I write lyrics, I know what the vocal melody is, and I was like, I'm gonna sing a track for you. You can keep it if you want to, like with the lyrics. And I think it kept a big chunk of it. But it's Pontus' track. It's for his. It's like his follow up to My Little Man, but this one was for his little girl. But she's 20 now, because no, not really, but like almost 10, I guess. But and I think me and Simon, we kind of helped him with a bit with that vocal break, and at the end it was like this part, bam bam bam, go for that,
Yeah.
yeah, he built a big crescendo with an amazing guitar solo, I think.
Let's
and
talk.
and Michael, I think he added the string arrangement, and
Okay.
yeah, the last chord is
Yeah, it's the end of that song is amazing. Let's
yeah.
talk about Pontus a little bit, because one of the notes that I have is that this is a great guitar album for Moon Safari. This is probably my favorite Moon Safari album in terms of the electric guitar work. Has Pontus been working or listening to some new influences? Is he just asserting himself a little more? But I don't recall. I know that the guitar has been great throughout, but it really seems to have hit like a new level on this record.
Yeah, he's just getting better and better. And I think he plays guitar in an AOR band called Autumn Style, I think. I think it's Autumn Style. It's a Swedish AOR band.
Okay.
And I think that has elevated his playing. But he's been really good all along. But it's like, I don't know. It's a bit like, the first IQ albums. Mike Holmes is, and on the later albums he has these big solos, and
Yeah.
it's become a part of their sound now. But it's kind of similar, but he's outstanding, and he can play anything. It's all different kind of styles.
And maybe that's just what 10 years more of experience will do for you.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So I don't want to go into every song because I want to keep you here all day, but Blood Moon again is a great song. And then you get the 21-minute album's epic centerpiece, Teen Angel Meets the Apocalypse. You already talked a little bit about this song, but when you have a song that length, how do you determine where to put it in the track order, in the in the sequence?
Yeah, it was quite tricky because at one point we were going to, in my opinion, we were going to make a double album,
Mm.
and I think we had like three more demos, and I wanted to have an instrumental song on there called Bloom You just to throw people off. But the track order, I think, we knew that Heaven Hill was going to be the first one,
Mm-hmm.
and then Between the Devil and Me made sense. And then it's like, okay, so what do we do here? And it just felt, you start thinking, we knew we wanted to make a vinyl, an LP. And so you start considering that, then it becomes kind of a bit like a puzzle. But I wanted to. The first album is a bit more rocking, it's progressive rock, but more commercial, or
Mm-hmm.
more direct, and to have the second part to be more of the epic moves for a sound.
So is this a double vinyl then?
Yeah,
Yeah. So you're gonna have
side C, that's Teen Angel.
sides
Yeah,
teenager, just one song, but yeah, what a song it is. It's again,
thank you.
it's gonna stand right up against all of the other massive Moon Safari epics that you guys have done. And you
Thank you.
get Forever for You, which is a 10-minute song, and that's the one with the saxophone that was
Yeah.
added by Jameson Smelts. And you guys end with Epilogue, and you guys don't. I always find this interesting. A band that sings in English, but it's not their primary language, not their first language. But you guys sing most of your songs in English, but you do occasionally slip one of those Swedish tracks in there.
Yeah, yes, the first time we've sung in Swedish, but we I always wanted to revisit the kids theme from Himlabacken Volume 1.
Mm.
And I had the vocal melody and the chords, and I said, Simon, it's like we should connect this one with Forever for You. So we just stayed in the same key. And the Swedish church, they were expanding their hymn book. And it's like, isn't that a bucket list thing to be in this Swedish hymn book, and maybe I have a song sung by kids in schools before summer break or communion or something like that. And we wrote that. It's the last song we wrote for the album, and it went quite fast. We missed the deadline, but it just felt natural to because the album is like revisiting childhood and places where we grew up, and friends, and it just made sense, to when you were a kid and we grew up, summer break seemed to last forever, and so it just made sense to write it in Swedish. And I did for a Japanese label, I did a translation to English, but
Mm.
and I mean, English is a infinitely more rich language.
If that means we have way too many words, then you're absolutely right.
Yeah, yes. But it's so but when I translated it to English, it's hard to find the same colorful words. But I don't know.
Well, it's interesting you brought up church hymn. That's the note that I wrote down for Beyond the Blue, that this one sounds like a church hymn to me.
Yeah, yeah. It's that's Johan's track, and I don't know what the background is, but I think he wanted. He always does, comes up with these the vocal track, like Constant Bloom. I think first started with him and kids as well. So that's kind of his soul.
Hmm.
But and I think it was a cappella first, but we added a couple of sprinkles on that one.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think that you guys would be able to put out an album that I liked more than these, because these are both extremely high in my estimation. But I think Himlabacken Volume 2 stands at least alongside those two, if it doesn't surpass them. And I think that this is going to be a very big treat for Moon Safari fans, and hopefully it also will make you some new fans.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Now, are you going to be able to play some live dates? You mentioned playing these songs live. You get to experiment a little bit. Have you got anything lined up?
The only thing we have booked is a festival in Norway next May, and that's with a couple of Swedish friends, Act and Beardfish, are going there as well.
Very good bands. I had Act on the show. I love those guys. They're so good.
Yeah, yeah, they're great. Yeah.
All right. Well, when somebody brings this album home, they buy it, they put it on their player, they listen to it fully all the way through. What do you hope that they take away from that experience?
Where have these guys been? I need to give them money so they can make more albums. That's what we're hoping for. No, but with music, just I mean, if someone listens to our music, loves our music, listens to it on Spotify, downloads it, steals it, whatever. But and if it inspires them, then it's worth it. I think we write music, songs we want to hear ourselves. I know some artists, they it's like songs are a pain they have to cut from themselves or something like that, and I don't want to, just needs to leave my body or something like that. But I think in our case, it's like we write songs we want to hear. It's like records we want to. For me, anyway, it's like a record you would want to put in your record collection, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, that's why you're on Michael's record collection. That's what we do here. We talk about great
Yeah.
music. So, Petter Sandstrom from Moon Safari. What's the best place for people to buy this record?
I think in US we have Laser's Edge, Laser's
Razor's
CD.
Edge. Yeah.
Yeah. And Symphonic, I think. Might be a couple of other places in Europe. Just for Kicks and Burning Shed from the UK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've sent Burning Shed way too much of my money, I think, over the years.
Yeah, they're the only one that's selling the vinyl, the first batch. Anyway.
Okay. Petter, thank you so much for telling me about this record. I hope it does really well for you. I'm glad that Moon Safari is back. I'm glad you got a new album coming out, and I wish you nothing but the best of success. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.